Hi, it's Jane, and this is Scraptastic Yarns. If you've never been here before, welcome. For those of you that have been, welcome back. As far as knitting, crocheting, I didn't get a whole lot done. I'm going to give you a little bit of what I have got accomplished here. This is where I'm at on the scrap can that I'm doing, and I was down here, so I do need to add another stitch marker. So let me grab one, put that up here for next week's. Can't really see that one. There it is. Pretty one. Anyway, that's where I've gotten as far as that was. This weekend, I went to a women's conference called Beauty from the Ashes, I believe that's the name of it. It was put on by a local church. Great way to connect with other people, other women, and to hear biblical messages and testimonies. It's fantastic. And they had at the very end, they had gone around and had 2 shoe boxes and had you pick out a card and a pen out of each one of them. One had pens, one had cards. And then on the back of the card, you were to list your first name, your favorite dessert, your favorite holiday, and where would you like to go for a vacation or somewhere in the world other than the U.S. that you've always longed to go to. So you did all that, and then they asked you to exchange your card with someone else that you did not know. And we exchanged cards and telephone numbers so that we could text one another just encouragement throughout the year, whatnot. And sorry about that, folks. And that was a little strange, but it's a nice way to make a new friend, to encourage each other. And I had initially gotten this one young lady, and I went looking for her because we didn't put our phone numbers on it at first, and then he suggested doing that. And I was like, where is she? So I looked around the room, didn't see her, and I saw another woman, and I thought, this is not the woman, but I didn't know her, and I thought she went to the same church. So I stopped up and I asked her, I said, I know this isn't you, but do you perhaps know who she is and where she was sitting? Because for some reason I can't find her. And this was in a place called Bald Birds Brewing Company. They do have an event room where you're not anywhere near the bar and having to deal with the liquor and all that kind of fun stuff. But they also have a fancy restaurant in there that has some excellent food, and they were caterers for the program. So she said no. She said, oh, that's funny. Everything that's on her list is on my list. So she wrote down her name and her telephone number, and I said, yeah, okay, that's fine. And then she came over to me a few minutes later and she said, I did ask one of the other ladies, and she said, that's the young lady you're looking for. And when I went over to get her to put telephone number on, I said, I did not see you. I was looking for you. And she started laughing. She said, well, I got up to go to the bathroom. So that's probably why I didn't see her after that. But it's a great way to make and meet new friends. And this is probably a conference, if they have it next year, that I would go to sponsored by a fairly local church. So I would suggest if you find these that you go to these. They're very heartwarming. So, but while I was there, I did take my knitting. And of course, I didn't get very far on my knitting. Only got about that far. What is that? 3 rows? And I always laugh because, I always say my knitting and my crochet keeps me out of the bars. It didn't this time, so we had a good laugh about that, okay? Yeah, that is it for as far as anything yarn related, any type of yarn. The only other thing that I did do is I did get the bowl cozies completely finished, and I'm going to show you those. I don't have them up on the shop yet. I've still got to take pictures of them, but yeah. So anyway, there is the lemons, and this has an olive green because that's the color that went with it. And there are quite a few of these, I think 12, maybe 11. And then there is the strawberries and blueberries. And these are your standard bowl sizes. These are. And it just has a dark blue on it. I am going to show you 2 of the bowls that I have that I use in them all the time to give you an idea of what they will work in. This is the Corel Vitrelli, I think is how it's pronounced. And this is a smaller bowl. A lot of people call these cereal bowls. And I do use that bowl in this all the time. The other one that I do have is, we've always had these larger bowls. These are the Corel, and I can't see the name down there. Both these bowls are about somewhere between 4.5, 5 inches across the bottom base. But you see that's much deeper. And yes, this works for this as well. And there are those 2 bowls side by side. So you can see that those do work in it. I have used other items in there in the past. I do have one other size, and that is a 10.5 for both the strawberry and the blueberries. But I do not have it in the lemons. The lemon fabric was one that I'd purchased at Ben Franklin quite a few years ago, and I'd purchased a whole lot of it. And I had made some that I sold on my Jane Wynn's designs, and some of those I had made when we were making them for the senior center. We used to have a yearly Christmas dinner there, and we usually had anywhere from 90 to 120 people that would show up, and so those of us that were in the quilting group would make different things for them, whether it be placemats or one year we did potato bags, to bake your potatoes in, placemats. We've done all kinds of different things. And this one year someone had said, can we do bowl cozies? And that was back before they didn't have wrap and zap it, but they did have all 100% cotton batting that had no scrim in it, which it's difficult to find that nowadays without scrim in it. And I don't know why, because if you just needle punch it, you don't need the scrim in it, which is what the wrap and zap it is. It's the same thing, only it has no scrim in it. Scrim is a polyester thread that is woven into it to give it some strength and those kind of things. It's needle punched. And needle punch means, I had shown you that one cotton the other day that did not Let me see if I can reach it. I've got one piece right here. That is 100% cotton, no scrim in it. But this is one that just peels apart like cotton candy. And that's because it's not been needle punched. These are just layers of the cotton that are layered and then sent out. You can't use it. You can use it for your bowl cozies, but I'm not so sure that it won't bunch up when it is washed. I haven't tried it. I was going to try it with some scrap fabric that I have, and I just haven't gotten to it. Only because bowl cozies do take a long time. You are cutting out 2 pieces of fabric, 2 pieces of batting. And then you have to quilt each piece. Then you have to put it together, turn it. You know, takes a little bit of time. So that is basically it for that portion, what I've got completed. Do hope to get those up in the shop this evening. Maybe by the time you see this. And of course, allergy season's great. It's in full force today. And bamboo is in full force. One of you had suggested ground clear, and there are some areas I can use the ground clear at, but there are other areas that I cannot. Like around the drain where it grows, I cannot use the ground clear because it will get into the groundwater system. And I'd hate to get fined for that, so can't use it around that area. But I can use it a couple other areas. So thank you for that suggestion. I am going to give that a shot. See if that'll help throughout the year. To keep it at least contained a little bit with the bamboo. And we've been having so much rain lately that I haven't been able to get out there and cut the bamboo. And of course it loves the rain. So it's just standing tall and proud. That's all I got to say. All right, you ready for a little what in Tarnation? Here we go. Cat escapes Florida vet, takes nearly 3-mile journey home. A cat, still with anesthesia in his system, following surgery, escaped from a vet in Florida and made the nearly 3-mile trek home to his favorite chair. Bob Besock said his cat, George, was at the SPCA, Florida, in Lakeland to get neutered, and right after the surgery, the feline managed to break out of the cage, climb a fence, and flee into the wilderness, all while still feeling the effects of anesthesia. He still had silly drugs in his system, the SPCA said in a news release. Besock and shelter staff searched for nearly a week for George, but it turned out the cat had made his way home to Loma Verde, where Besock found the feline curled up in his favorite chair in the carport. There was George, stretched out in his chair in a carport, looking like he had just returned from a grand adventure. He was a bit thinner, clearly hungry, but otherwise no worse for the wear. He said George had to take a 2.7-mile journey home. He had to go through 2 or 3 subdivisions, around a couple of lakes, cross 5 or 6 roads. If I'd been stuck there, I would have called an Uber, but George didn't have that option. Now, I do find that interesting because there was a group I remember that had done a research on cats that are inside outdoor cats, and had put a GoPro on it or something like that, and they determined that, and it had a tracker as well on it. They determined the cat had traveled probably 5 to 6 miles during its day-long trek around whatever it was doing, and I have no doubts about that because I have had people with my Siamese cat. He was indoor-outdoor, neutered, and there were people that were close to the high school, which was about a mile away, who said to me, "We saw your cat roaming around," and we had lived in different areas when I was growing up. He used to go haunt the old neighborhood, which was about 3 miles away from where we moved to. So I knew that he was getting around. Let's just put it that way. Bear steals trail camera in New Hampshire. Police investigating the theft of a trail camera in New Hampshire reviewed recorded footage and identified the suspect, a bear. The Jackson Police Department shared video on social media showing a bear seemingly attempting to steal the camera using its teeth and claws while another bear watches from a short distance away. This morning we received a report of a camera theft in town. Fortunately, the suspect was caught on camera in the act. Does anyone recognize this suspect? He was described as wearing all black and it occurred in early morning hours. Very suspicious. Police welcomed any assistance from local junior detectives. This kind of conduct is unbearable, the Post quipped. Gotta admit, some of these people that write some of these posts, social media posts for different police departments, are pretty witty people. 3-inch Yorkie in Ontario might be the world's shortest dog. An Ontario woman said she believes her Yorkshire Terrier, standing at just 3 inches tall and weighing less than a pound, might be the smallest dog in the world. Kim Passera of Loretto said her dog, Lulu, has a lot of energy and spunk in a small package. She is probably the sauciest dog I've ever had, she told CTV News. When she had her first bath, she swatted at me and bit me, telling me, I don't like this. And she has the tiniest teeth. The current world's shortest dog, a Chihuahua named Pearl, stands at 3.59 inches. Lulu is shorter, only at 3 inches, but the Yorkie is only 4 months old. So Guinness World Records won't accept official measurements until she is at least 1 year old. And you never know, she might grow. Duck triggers speed camera exactly 7 years after an identical incident. A traffic monitoring camera in a Swiss town was triggered by a fast-flying duck breaking the speed limit. 7 years to the day after the same thing happened in the same spot at the same speed. The municipality of Cozies said on social media that the speed camera was triggered April the 13th and captured an image of a male duck traveling 32 miles an hour in a 12 mile per hour zone. Similarly looking duck triggered the same camera on April the 13th, 2018, by flying at the same speed. Officials speculated the two photos could be the same bird returning to the scene of his original traffic crime for a repeat offense. The town stressed the incident was not a late April Fool's prank, as the computers that control the camera are inspected and calibrated annually, and the stored photos are sealed and impossible to manipulate. I get another drink. Alpacas. A lot of these stories are just plain animal stories. That's been topping a lot of the weird news lately. Alpacas escaped Cedar Point Petting Zoo, wandered through the park. Visitors to Cedar Point Amusement Park in Ohio captured video when a trio of alpacas escaped from the petting zoo and took a self-guided tour of the park. Laura Stuck Mastropaolo captured video Friday when she spotted the three animals wandering loose next to Sandusky's park train, with employees in pursuit. I think it is time to retire at the Cedar Point Petting Farm, she said. Tony Clark, a spokesman for Six Flags Cedar Point, said the alpacas escaped from the Barnyard Petting Zoo when a third-party operator unlocked their pen during a cleaning operation. Clark said the alpacas were returned safely to their pens. Cedar Point's petting zoo also made headlines in June when a pair of camels escaped from their pen and went wandering through the crowds. A herd of goats escaped from their pen just a few days later. Now this next story, I love this next story. It's a sweet story. Texas cat's viral quinceañera ends up saving local rescue group. A Houston woman celebrated her cat's 15th birthday with a quinceañera that went viral online and ended up saving a local animal rescue group. Miranda Gonzalez said she'd been dreaming of throwing a quinceañera for her cat Holly Marie Gonzalez ever since getting the feline as a kitten 15 years ago. It was always a dream of mine since she was little, Gonzalez told Dodo. I wanted to celebrate our life together and show everyone my love for her. She said planning started in earnest when Holly was approaching her 14th birthday. It took me months to plan. I had friends and family, as well as padrinos. These are people who donate and help with the event. It was very detail-oriented. The party ended up having a grand entrance for Holly in a remote-controlled Bentley, a father-daughter dance, an elaborate cake, and even a full mariachi band, who said it was their first time playing a quinceañera for a cat. It was a quinceañera. I really wanted to go all out to celebrate my love for her. The celebration also served as a fundraiser for a struggling animal rescue almost home cat haven. Videos Gonzalez posted online ended up going viral, causing donations to the rescue to skyrocket. Dina Urich, managing director of Almost Home Cat Haven, said the donations took the rescue from the verge of closing to financial stability. It has been a ride all week long. We have been blessed beyond. Every time we think I don't know if I can keep doing this, some blessing will drop in. And this time, it was Miranda, her family, and Holly's blessed day she got to have. Now, some of you may not know what a quinceañera is. In the Latin culture in Mexico, it is customary to celebrate a girl's 15th birthday. In Spanish, the girl celebrating her 15th birthday is called a quinceañera. In English, primarily U.S., it is used to refer to the celebrations and honors surrounding the special occasion. And there are a couple of different names that it is called. This birthday is celebrated differently from any other, as it marks a transition from childhood to young womanhood. Historically, in the years prior to their 15th birthday, girls learned about cooking, weaving, and childbearing from the elder women in their communities in preparation for their future roles as wives. During the celebration, the girl's father would present her to potential suitors. And there are many parallel customs as to this, but some days you may consider this what they call a debutante ball. That is what Americans have always done, as well as I think the British. It is a debutante or coming out. Of course, coming out party nowadays means something different. But then it was coming out presenting your daughter that she was ready to start having suitors come her way for a possible marriage later on. So I just love that story because those that cat rescue is now thriving. So I'm going to pause you for a minute because we're about to run out of time. Sorry about that. And then it seems like the phone was ringing every time I turned around. All right, today we are ready to do our devotional, and this is with God. I always have hope. And yes, I did pick this up at Holly's. And all right, let's get into it. Hope in the glory of God. Through Jesus, we have gained access by faith into this grace in which we now stand, and we boast in the hope of the glory of God. Romans 5:2. Sorry, a little distracted. What is glory? To have hope in God's glory, it is important to understand exactly what it is. According to Scripture, the glory of God is His invincible qualities, displayed in a visible or knowable way. How has God made His invisible qualities visible? He did this through His Son, Jesus. Colossians 1:15 says that Jesus is the image of the invisible God. And Hebrews 1:3 says, He is the radiance of the glory of God and the exact imprint of His nature. When you hope in the glory of God, you are hoping in Jesus Himself. Jesus is not some invisible, intangible quality. He walked the earth. He performed miracles. He raised the dead. Most amazingly, He died for us, and the Father resurrected Him for our sake. The visible qualities Jesus displayed were shown so that we could have faith in the Father's invisible qualities. We can hope in God's glory because of Jesus, the only perfect image bearer of God's glory. As a follower of Jesus, you can be a conduit of God's glory as well. As you follow His commandments, He will use you to display His glory on earth. Reflect. What do I imagine when I think of God's glory? Pray. Father God, I thank You for showing Your glory through the life of Jesus. As I reflect on Jesus' life and works, death and resurrection, I am thankful that You will do greater things through those of us who believe. Please let me be an instrument of Your glory in the earth. Declare, I am an image bearer of God's glory. Act. Do something today that showcases one of God's glorious qualities, such as showing His love or generosity to someone in need. Like I said, do something kind today. I am a little distracted by Ronan because he is climbing into boxes. He is now sitting at my feet, staring up at me with one paw on my foot, giving me the look like, you know, it's time to play. So, I'm going to have to go play with him a little bit to get him calmed down so he can move on with his day. Then I get to clean. Oh, such a joyful day. Cleaning. For the life of me, I cannot figure how one woman and two cats can wind up with such a dirty house in such a short time. Oh well. So I will be doing that. I'll be getting photos of the bowl cozies and doing the listings for them so that they can be put up on Etsy shop. Other than that, I hope you have a scraptastic week and do something kind today. See you again soon. Bye.